Welcome to my very first YouTube live. I am so excited for this. I hope it will all work like planned. We're in Mercury retrograde and everything, so we will see. Today we have a beautiful topic. We are speaking about how to harness altered states of consciousness to learn French better and faster, even and in fact, especially if you can't meditate or you don't meditate or you don't know what the fuss is all about with this meditation thing. So if you are watching right now, please say hi in the little chat. Please tell me who you are, because I know that 3 people are watching, but I don't know who they are. I suspect that some of the people who were on the Facebook Live often are here now. So just leave me a little comment. Great. So we got Linda. YouTube didn't give me a notification either. Yeah. So this is basically what I was reporting in Telegram, is that we are trying to switch over from Facebook to YouTube to see if that helps the attendance, because on Facebook, unfortunately, a number of people have reached out to me and said that they couldn't find the live stream. The live stream is every Monday at this time. So this time is, if you're watching the replay, it's 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and it is 7 p.m. for me in Vienna. It's also 7 p.m. French time. So it will be every Monday at the same time until further notice. I just can't tell you which platform it will end up being on, because I don't really know. We'll see if there's a place where we can be happy and have a good experience. So please report to me, write comments, and just let me know how it goes, because I see only my side of things. By the way, please let me know also if the image is good. I know that on Facebook I looked like I was coming from the deep sea. So I would like to know if it's better here. So we got Connie here. Hi, Connie. Bonjour. Did you post on Facebook about the change to YouTube? I think I forgot doing that. I'm sorry. Damn. Yeah. I put it on Telegram and I emailed everybody. But true, I probably forgot doing that. Oops. If you can, it would be cool to post the link of this stream to Facebook to tell people that if they are there, that they can find the link. But yeah, the thing is, Facebook does not inform people, so that's why I'm fed up with them. But anyway, I'm glad to see that you're here. You two in the chat, Linda and Connie, and some more people that are watching according to the little thingy. So, oh, thank you, Linda. That's amazing. You're awesome. So perhaps we can get into the content. Please first tell me if you meditate, and if you do, what do you use? Do you use guided tracks? We have guided meditation tracks on this channel. There are 2 so far. There's a track for opening your mind to French, which promotes learning French more easily, and especially thinking in French and understanding directly without having to translate. And there's a quantum jumping track that I'm also very proud of, which is to meet your future French self and get advice from them. So you can find that on this very channel. And I am preparing another one I can just announce. I hope it will be ready this week. I don't know how long it will take. It's a bit more challenging than I thought it would be, but I'm preparing a track which is a chakra clearing for international communication. When I got that idea, I thought it was awesome. I hadn't realized how much research it takes. So it's taking a while, but yeah, I'm throwing it out there. Hopefully you will hold me accountable and bug me, and then I'll release it hopefully soon. So yes, so the topic for today is really harnessing altered states of consciousness. And I actually don't like this term, altered states, because it's been a very hype term, buzzword. Please let me know if you've heard this before and what kind of content you've heard it in. So Connie says, I still haven't tried meditation. I do not know why it makes me nervous and refuse to even try. This is actually not weird. It's a form of resistance. And to be honest, I'm an avid meditator. I meditate every day, often several times a day. I've already meditated 2 or 3 times today, depending on how you count it. And I probably will later tonight as well. This is the higher level. I mean, but normally it's at least 2 times a day. And even me, I still feel the resistance of like, I don't want to do it sometimes. It's perfectly normal. I would recommend trying for a meditation tracks. There are so many tracks on YouTube. Like I said, we have 2 on these channels, and you can find. Okay, I don't want to say you can find guided meditation for virtually everything, because I looked up meditation for international communication and it doesn't exist. And I was like, okay, I'll make one. But there are many meditation tracks for many different things. Yeah. So, but the good news is that you can also access the same kind of benefits that you have from meditation through activities that aren't labeled as meditation. So we call some things altered, some states altered state, but it's always a state that's in between deep sleep and the state that most likely we are at right now, which is a state of full awareness and with the highest possible brainwave, or close to the highest possible brainwave. Where in deep sleep we have the lowest possible brainwave. So it's the height of your brainwaves which gives you really a different quote unquote state of consciousness, ranging from deep sleep all the way to being fully awake and even heightened. And so I've listed a total of six different states, and even I only have sleep listed as one. It should be more than one, but I don't want to get too much into the details of sleep today. But I've listed 6 different states, and I want to go through them with you, and so that you know when you experience those states, what they look like, and if you can use them for improving your French, and if so, how. So tell me if that sounds like a good plan for today. I think it's really important that we start saying this, because I'm really fed up with the situation where there's a double standard, basically, where you have us, the meditators, and we have some sort of secret club where we enjoy all the benefits and we can do amazing stuff. We don't exactly know what we can do, but it's awesome. We love it. And it's just for us. And on the other hand, there's the other people, the ones that are excluded, that can't meditate or don't want to, and don't get access to all the good stuff. And really, it's not like that. All of us experience different states of consciousness that are related to different brainwaves, and we all have the same brains, even though you have plenty of scientific studies that tell you that if you meditate, your brain will become quote unquote better in many ways. And this is true, that you can actually alter the structure of your brain for the better if you meditate successfully. But still, you experience the different states even if you don't meditate. You may just not be able to recognize them, and you may also not be able to trigger them in a way that you want. The biggest difference that I've noticed in my life between when I started to meditate successfully and before, when I was not meditating, is that now I can very easily access different states of consciousness. And this is in part, or in big part, this is mostly due to the Silva Method, which I learned at the Mind Valley Intuition Training. So if you ever have the opportunity to study and learn the Silva Method in any way, there are online courses, there are also in-person seminars, probably not so many right now. But I'm not affiliated with them, but they have just totally changed my life. So if you get a chance ever to learn the Silva Method, you should, point blank. But you are not going to learn it on this live, because, well, I'm not qualified to teach it. I'm only a user, for one thing. But what I can teach you is what those different levels of states of consciousness are and what they look like. So like I said, I have listed 6 of them. And well, first I wanted to quickly tell you what are those benefits of meditation really quickly, so that you know what it looks like. So I broke them into 2 big categories, because if you look up benefits of meditation on Google, you'll find a huge laundry list. But really, it's in 2 major categories. So the first one is quieting the nervous system. So it will help you have less fear or stress or worry. And this is great, because when you're stressed out or in fear or in worry, you absolutely cannot do anything productive. I'm sure you've already noticed that if you're worried or stressed out or afraid in some way, it's just not the right state. So being able to access a state of mind that is quieter and where your nervous system will be quieter is very important. And so this is a benefit of meditation, the biggest perhaps. And the second kind of benefit is that it gives you an easier access to your subconscious mind. when your brain waves are low enough, so somewhere in between sleep and wakefulness, you have an ideal state, like we refer to that as either the theta level or the alpha level. Alpha is slightly a higher brainwave and theta is lower. Please tell me if I don't make sense, by the way. Maybe I'm speaking about stuff that you don't really know. But basically, when you're in between, we have the state of sleep, which corresponds, deep sleep corresponds to delta brainwaves. That's the sleep when you don't dream. And then there's a theta state, which you could either be asleep and dreaming, or you could also be conscious. It's a thing that some meditators are able to do. Like, for example, I'm able to do it, and it's very useful when you know how to harness it. So delta, theta, and then there's alpha, which is the state of light meditation or very, very light sleep. And then there's beta, which is the state that most likely we are in, unless someone is on this video currently meditating and listening to the video at the same time, which I don't know why you would do this, but you technically can. But probably most of us right now are in the beta brain wave. And I've cut this into 6 different states. That's a little bit different. So like you have 4 names of the brain waves. But I thought that it would be more helpful to explain it to you, to have a different cut. So from the most heightened to the most asleep, we have 6 different states that you can either harness or you can seek to get out of those states because they're not helpful. So the first, the most highest brainwave state, I called it heightened or scattered. So this is the state where you're stressed out, you're a little bit like reactive, perhaps defensive, and just seeking to react to your environment. This I have found to be a state that I mostly experience on social media nowadays. I used to experience it a lot in social situation, probably because I'm someone who's naturally socially anxious. I've made a lot of progress on that, but it's definitely something I've struggled a lot with in the past. So if you are someone who doesn't feel good in social situation, or if you're sometimes stressed out or in a situation where you feel you have to defend yourself and be always ready to react or to fight, this is what I call the heightened or scattered state. This is the worst state ever for everything. It has an evolutionary use case. It is useful to have this state from time to time because it is important if you're actually attacked to be able to defend yourself. So that is why this state exists. It can save your life if you're in a situation where there is an actual danger. But unfortunately, in the world that we currently live in, we just have too much of this. And our brain has not evolved to live in the world where there is so much social media and we are bombarded with information at all times. As we sit in our quiet environment, we just keep being bombarded by stuff which basically attack us somehow, like we feel attacked by them. This is the worst state. So you want to seek to avoid this state because it cannot help you. So if you notice that you're in this state, really the best thing you can do is, if it's at all possible, I mean, if you're in a social situation, it's sometimes you just have to, man up and deal with it. But if it's at all possible, if you're alone or you're just with, your family, for example, and people are rather supportive of you, but step out of whatever it is that you're doing. Like if you're scrolling through Instagram and you're feeling heightened, drop the phone. Like I'm serious. I know it's a problem because it's an addictive behavior. It's actually something that I'm currently writing about because I'm preparing the workshop for the French Fluency Accelerator, which is this Wednesday. By the way, you can still join if you're not in the accelerator right now. I have kept the old 2020 price is still on because just I haven't had time to promote it the right way. So you can still join, and if you join before Wednesday, you will be able to join this new workshop, which is about motivation and staying motivated and making progress consistently. It's on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, this Wednesday. So that was a small plug. But like I was saying, if you're, for example, scrolling through Instagram and you're feeling heightened, or you're in a situation where you're doing something which you're not forced to do right now, and you're feeling like that, drop the phone, drop whatever it is that you're doing, and do something that can help you get into another state of mind. So that's, for example, if you do meditate, that is a good time to meditate. When you realize, like, if I realize that I'm in a state of like, I'm worried, I'm scared, I'm heightened, and I'm on my own, I'm like, okay, drop that, go meditate. Fortunately, I'm very trained. It takes me a very small time. But you can just just breathe, focus on your breathing, or do something that will put you in another state, because you want to avoid this state, the heightened scattered state, as much as possible. It is not enjoyable on the moment, and it's extremely damaging for your health, to be stressed out. Like, you will have all sorts of you can develop all sorts of really bad conditions if you stay on this state chronically. Yes, your body has not evolved to deal with that. So that's the first state, heightened state. You want to avoid that as much as possible. Then there is the state that I called intentional focus. So it's also with high brain waves, but probably, so we are in the beta brain wave right now, but probably lower beta brain waves. This is when you decide to do something and you intentionally focus on that thing, or you try to. It's an okay state. Most people use it a lot, and it works to some degree. The problem with this state is that it's extremely tiring. You probably have only a little bit, so it depends from person to person. Some people are more disciplined than others. For example, I was speaking to one of my students this weekend who was having a one-on-one session with me, and I was telling her that I was preparing the workshop about staying motivated, and she told me that for her, it's not about motivation, it's more about discipline. And what I told her is that that really will depend on people. Some people have discipline because like almost a personality trait that they have developed and cultivated, and other people just don't have as much. And it's not so easy to tell people to be disciplined, because being disciplined requires a lot of intentional focus, and you only have so much in a day. It takes willpower, and it will deplete you. So you want to keep the amount of intentional focus that you have for your important tasks. So it's for you to decide what are your most important tasks. For example, for some people, studying, like their French study, for example, will be their most important task, because it might well be the most mentally intense task that they have to do in a day. Maybe they have a job that they know how to do very well, that doesn't require a lot of focus, and learning French is the thing that will require the most focus, so they will put it to that. Other people will have a job that's extremely intellectually demanding for some reason, either because they're not very trained yet, or because the job, like the nature of the job requires to do that. I do have clients who have this situation where their job is just extremely demanding. They have to do a lot of research, and it takes a lot of willpower. And so they cannot give this limited intentional focus to their French study. So for these people, if you're one of these people, it means that you have to use other states that I'm going to speak afterwards for your French study. But if you have some international focus to spare, you can use it for grammar exercises. You can use it for example, if you're in the French Fluency Accelerator and we have live classes, or you want to work on one of the live classes, when you do the questions in the, okay, let me backtrack. In the French Fluency Accelerator, we have two categories of content. We have workshops where it's mostly me talking, a bit like that, but with slides and more structured and much longer, like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then we have the live classes, which is really just French classes based off videos and songs. And before you can take those classes, you have an exercise that you need to do. That would be a perfect thing to do with your intentional focus. So listen to those songs and answer the questions. So please tell me if it makes sense so far, and if you are learning something, and if you have any questions. I would love to know if I'm still being followed. And please tell me if the quality of the image is good. It looks good to me, but I don't know how transmitted it is. And yeah, I would love to have a bit of feedback on that. And I actually also don't know how much of a delay there is. So, okay, so Linda's saying so far so good. Okay, cool. I'm glad it's coming through. Awesome. The image looks amazing. Well, this is good. That means that we at least have one benefit on YouTube as opposed to Facebook, which is that the image looks good, unless it's my connection, which happens to be great today, but I would be surprised. It's normally not great in the evening. Great, so let's go on to the next state that I have listed. So it's the flow state. You probably have heard of the flow state because it's also very hype. The flow state is the state that you experience, for example, when you are exercising and you reach a point where you feel in flow. Actually, please tell me if you understand flow state, because it's very difficult to describe. It's a state where things flow naturally. You don't have to apply willpower. And you can typically, when you're in flow, you can keep doing what you're doing for a very long time. It's an amazing state. If you can get into that state for work, for example, or I often get into the state through exercising. I typically exercise in the morning. And then when I have exercise, I get some flow state for 20, 30 minutes, which it's pretty cool, but it's very elusive. Connie says, I am not sure if you look a lot better or because I just got a new computer. The video looks and sounds great. Okay, cool. I'm really happy. That makes me glad. Yeah, so tell me if you understand what the flow state is or if you have any question. The thing with the flow state is that it's very elusive. It's not so easy to trigger. A lot of people have researched it, and there's this flow hacking movement because we know it's the best possible state. When you're doing it, when you're in this state of mind, it's probably somewhere in the alpha brainwave. Like it's basically a state of meditation, but active and with your eyes open and able to do all the things that you want to do. And it's at the moment when you're just challenged enough, but not so challenged that you're afraid. It's very tricky to trigger it. So it's a great state if you can have it. If you don't, I would say don't beat yourself up. Not so many people do, and it's not necessary. So that was the third one. I wanted to include it because, yeah, I mean, when we're speaking of states of consciousness, we have to mention flow. By the way, the discoverer and the main researcher of flow is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Is from Hungary. If you've ever heard his name, that's that guy. Please don't ask me to spell it. I don't know how to spell it. Sorry, excuse me. The next state that I have is a state of relaxed concentration. This is a state that you typically experience when you are driving. If you're a good driver, unlike me, I personally don't drive. I don't even have a driving license because I just never went all the way through passing it. When I was younger, I just don't need it. But if you are a good driver and you know how to drive, you know exactly what relaxed concentration is like. Relaxed concentration is how you feel when you're driving. So when you're driving, if you're driving correctly, you are relaxed and you're still able to react to what's going on in the environment. This is an excellent state. If you have ideas of when you also experience this state besides driving, I would love to get some feedback from you in the comments. I've noticed, I've written down that it can also come from hobbies that require some repetitive behavior or some repetitive motor skills, such as, for example, knitting. I've noticed that when I do hand coloring, I also experience the state of relaxed concentration, crochet, and typically things like cross-stitched and all sorts of manual work that tends to create the state of relaxed concentration. And this, you might also experience it when you read, for example, sometimes. Mostly if you're reading a book, perhaps not if you're reading on your phone. But please tell me if that makes sense and if you have other ideas of moments when you can be experiencing this state. And so all of these, cleaning is one of those. Cleaning, sometimes working out. If you're working out, you might be in flow state or you might be in relaxed concentration, assuming you're not somehow freaking out because something's wrong with the workout. But if you're working out normally, you will be in one of those states, so either flow or relaxed concentration. And all of these are really, really good times for your daily French bath. Linda's saying you experienced it when you swim. Yeah, that actually a great example. I haven't swum in a long time. Well, I mean, I swam in the Danube last summer, but I haven't since. Thanks to COVID, no swimming pool. Yay. Anyway, I don't know that you can actually do your daily French bath when you swim, but if you're driving, if you're cleaning, if you're working out not in water, or if you're knitting or doing any kind of manual work, that is a good time for your daily French bath because you are relaxed, and this is a time where your subconscious mind is available for new input. So I definitely recommend using those time for your daily French bath. If you haven't heard of the daily French bath, first, well, welcome. That means you're new. Please subscribe. But there is a video somewhere on this channel which is called How to Learn French in One Click, and that is the video that explains the daily French bath. So that was our state number 4. State number 5 is, I called it the meditative state. So, of course, if you do not do meditation, you may not know what that is, but it's basically the state of relaxed concentration, but lower in the lower brain waves. Connie is saying, I do it when I get ready for work in the morning. All right, because I assume you do the same continuation of movement, the same routine, and so it gets you in a state of relaxed concentration. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So this is also a great time for your daily French practice. If you're not already listening to something, you can add it on top and just put it in the background. Don't worry too much about what you're hearing or listening to French song, and that definitely improves your French. So meditative state, and especially dynamic meditation. For example, quantum jumping is an example of dynamic meditation. So you can retrieve the quantum jumping track on this channel and use it to see what it looks like. Or, for example, if you passively listen to affirmations, we also have 2 affirmation tracks on this channel, which are respectively for successful French learning and for self-confidence. And I have another track that will be coming hopefully this week. I know that it's at my assistant, and she said she would work on it tomorrow. So I look forward to releasing this new track, which will be for success and love. So if you listen passively to affirmations, if you are not trying to repeat the affirmations, like when you use those tracks, you can either just listen to them passively or repeat them. There are blanks, and you can practice your pronunciation with them as well. But if you're doing this, if you're speaking and pronouncing, that would be probably a state of intentional focus. So the state number 2 that we mentioned. If you're passively listening to it, especially with your eyes closed, that would be the meditative state. So I think a good difference between relaxed concentration and the meditative state is eyes open versus eyes closed. But if you close your eyes, you're automatically more likely to have lower brain waves. It's just how it works. It's almost impossible to have brain waves that are low with your eyes open. It's not completely impossible. If you're an experienced meditator, you might be able to defocus your eyes. It's something that I can do. If you do walking meditation, you might just have your eyes defocused and be meditating with your eyes open. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but most of the time, eyes open mean that you have higher brain waves, and eyes closed means you have lower brain waves. So I hope this is clear for the so-called meditative state. And the last state that I have, which you can perhaps harness, but it's a bit tricky, is sleep. So like I said at the beginning, you have actually 3 different types of sleep. You have deep sleep, then you have the so-called paradoxal sleep, which is when you dream, and then you have light sleep, which is when you can be awakened easily. But for the sake of this live, I have pulled that together in one state, because if you're asleep, you don't really have control over what you're doing, unless you're an expert at lucid dreaming, which would probably be an interesting thing to speak about. But for that, I need to get back into it because I just haven't practiced it in a long time. But yeah, actually, tell me if that's something you'd like to hear about. If you'd like to hear about lucid dreaming and how it can be used for language practice, I can just go back in there and just try it on myself for a few months, and then I can report on what I have achieved with it. So yep, I'm at the end of my outline for today. I hope this makes sense to you. If you have any question, now is a great time to type it in the comments. I know that there are 5 people watching, so if you have just arrived, please just say hi in the comment and tell me where you're from. And yeah, I'm happy to hang out a bit longer with you as usual. So this is not really a new tradition, because we just took it from Facebook over to YouTube. And the tradition is that I go through my outline and what I have planned to say, and then I answer any and every question about French learning, or any question that you actually want me to answer. As long as I can answer, I will be happy to answer them to you. So Linda, she's saying, yes, please, I can lucid dream, but I haven't done it in a while either, and no idea how it would help me to learn French. So there is a great book for that, and I think it's in my bedroom, and I can't show it to you here. Yes, no, this is not. So it's called Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming by Stefan LeBurge. And it's really interesting book. And one chapter is about rehearsing for living. And he explains how you can practice literally any skill while you lucid dream. Of course, that assumes that you already know how to lucid dream, which is what you learn in the first chapters of this book. So I definitely recommend this book. I think I'm just going to just read it again and try to discipline myself to practice it, because yeah, it's definitely something I've always wanted to do, and I think it's long overdue. I mean, I quoted lucid dreaming saying the exact same thing as I said right now that 3 years ago in a blog post. And yeah, maybe I should get into that. Maybe we should try some like little experiment collectively on getting into lucid dreaming. That would be fun. We could create like a lucid dreaming workshop, not workshop, but you know, like little school or group. Does that make sense? Tell me if that's something you'd like to do. So we have Yasmin is here. Hey, Yasmin, cool to see you again. I just turned it late, but the lucid dreaming sounds interesting related to language. Yeah. Also, there is an experience, like it's not frequent, but it's not uncommon for people to experience thinking in a language first during dreams. And yeah, let me just finish reading that. Lucid dreaming is interesting. As Connie would be excited to learn about it. Right. It's okay. Yeah, I'll definitely get more into it. And that says that would be fun. So yeah, actually one thing that I wrote on my outline, which I forgot telling you, is there is a video on this channel where I question the concept of learning French while you sleep. Because on YouTube, there are plenty of videos which are like 8 hours long, and they have tons of views, like millions of views for some of them, about learning French while you sleep. And it's basically someone reading sentences that you can listen to while you sleep. And I was asked if I thought that it was actually possible and that if that would work. And so you can go watch that video. I think it's 10 minutes long, where I explain why I think, in which case I think it could work and the limitations of it. But interestingly, a thing that I hadn't expected is that after I released that video, some of my students went ahead and tried it, because in the video I encourage you to go ahead and make your own experience with it, because you shouldn't believe what I say. You should just go out and test it and see if it works for you. Most of the time, hopefully, I know what I'm saying, so it will work for you. But don't believe it just because I say it. Just go ahead, test it, and when you have the results, you can be like, yeah, that's the thing that works for me. So students did it. They took that video, the Learn French While You Sleep, and with all the caveats that I gave them, and they just went ahead and listened to those tracks while sleeping. And one student came back and reported to me that she doesn't think her French is improved as a result of doing that, but she dreamt in French, and it was the first time. And it can't be a coincidence that you start dreaming in French while you are listening to a French track. It's obvious that the induction of the dream, or the inception of the dream, to quote the word in the movie, the inception of the dream was from the track. Because you heard the French while you were sleeping, then it triggered the capacity to speak in French during the dream. So that can happen. There is no guarantee that it will happen, but yes, those tracks do something. I don't know that we can say that they make you actually learn French while you sleep, again, wake up speaking French, but there's something there. There's something really interesting in this topic, and it's all to do with the altered states of consciousness, because yeah, sleep is a completely altered consciousness, right? That's the consciousness you have when, or the lack of consciousness even. So I see you have plenty of comments. Super cool. I'm so glad you're all here. Yasmin says, I dream in English, but I'm Dutch, although I don't speak Dutch on a daily basis. Oh, I also dream in English mostly, and it's because I think in English mostly, even though I'm French, which hopefully you probably know by now, because it's Angèle Préto, the French coach. But yeah, I dream mostly in English and also a little bit in French. In German, you would have dream segments in German. Yeah, I had dreams. I'm sure I had dream segments in all of my languages. Sometimes I do speak German because I live in Austria. I do dream in German because I live in Austria. So if I have a dream that's like relevant to my immediate environment, it's not very frequent lately because I don't have an immediate environment. It's just me, and then I'm talking to you on the internet, which is a real pleasure. I still would appreciate to also have a social life, but yeah, it's canceled. I hope I'll be back someday. That would be cool. So Connie says, I sleep horribly and any noise would prevent me to sleep well. It's okay. Like, it's absolutely not a problem. Like, you don't have to use any of those stuff, like learn French while you sleep or whatever. It's not necessary, and we don't even know if it's helpful. So no worries. And Yasmin says, that sounds amazing. I'm not really sure what you're referring to, but thanks. All right, so do you have any questions? It could really be a question about anything. It doesn't have to be about this topic in particular. If you want me to like model some pronunciation or something, I'm happy to hang out a bit more. And if you don't have questions, I will have to leave you because I can't keep talking forever to say nothing. But yeah, tell me if that helped, if that was interesting, and if I told you some things new and some things that, if there are some things that I've said that you're excited to try or things you'd like to hear more about. Yeah, I'd love to have some more input. Oh, learning French while I sleep. Right. Yeah, I mean, it is amazing if it works, right? So you can go ahead and try it. Connie, didn't you speak French in your sleep? It's a question for, it's not a question for me. She will answer, I'm sure. She did a few times. Oh, congratulations. Cool. Yeah, so that means that, like, when you dream in French, it's a clear sign that you are starting to think in French. Because unless you dream that you're like translating or something, which would be weird. But yeah, Linda is saying, I hate you a little. Have you never dreamt in French, Linda? Yasmin says, moi. I'm not sure what you mean there. Oh, okay, sorry, I get it. Right, okay. It's I still haven't gone very far on my research on how to start thinking in French. Linda says never. You have to use those meditation track more. I know you use them every day, so don't know if it's technically possible for you to use them more, but it's gonna happen. Like, you're either going to start dreaming in French or start thinking in French, or both at some point. Keep doing the daily French bath. The meditations are supposed to help. The affirmations are likely to help. Actually, maybe I could make some affirmations for speaking in French, for thinking in French. Let me write that down. That sounds like a good idea. Affirmations. Yasmin says she would love to wake up speaking in French. It would be amazing if you could just listen to a track while you sleep and use them with them, wake up, sleep, speaking in French. Affirmation for thinking in French. Sounds like something I could do, and maybe that would help. Oh yeah, that is a great idea. So I assume you mean the affirmations, Linda. So yeah, I'd like to do that. I would like to, tell me if you would like more affirmation tracks. We already have 2. There's a 3rd one upcoming, and I'd love to do more. I don't really know which ones would be relevant to you. The track that I made for self-confidence has a lot less success than the track I made for successful French learning. So that's yeah, I'd like to know which affirmation tracks would be useful to you, or if you'd like to have more meditation tracks, I'd like to know what kind of results you would like to target from those meditation tracks, because then I can make them. So that could be helpful. Yasmin is asking the tracks for us to listen while we, yeah, you just have to type in learn French while you sleep, and there are plenty, and they are very well referenced because they have lots of views, so it's easy to find. They're all over YouTube, says Linda. Yep. Right. Okay. Any question or comment or something you'd like to discuss before we go? I would love anything that would get me to think in French. So the first meditation track, which I believe we actually recorded together, Open Your Mind to French, it is partially designed for that. So I would use this track first, and then, yes, a set of affirmation for thinking in French. I can prepare that. All right, Connie says, thank you. Yasmin says, me too. Yep, I'll work on that. Like I said, my research on how, because I'm fascinated with trying to find how do people start thinking in French, especially if it's your second language. So if you only have a native language, for example, English, and French is your second language, so that wouldn't apply for you, Yasmin, because you already have Dutch and English. So if you already have 2 languages that you can think in, for example, Dutch and English, it will be very easy to develop thinking in a 3rd one. But the second language that you have, it's really difficult. French is your 4th. Which one is your 3rd then? I forgot. But yeah, so if it's your 3rd or 4th or 5th, it's a lot easier. It's just if it's your 2nd that it's difficult, because your brain is just really, really trained. And the older you are, the longer you've had to really strengthen those neural pathways to just think only in English. And oh, German. Wow, so you speak Dutch, German, English, and French, or Dutch, English, French, German, and you're learning French. That's super cool. So we have two and a half languages in common, because I also speak German, because I live in Austria. Some Italian too. Wow, sweet. What was I saying? I just completely lost my train of thoughts. Yes, thinking in French. So I really wanted to do some research on how it happens. The problem is that I don't know. It doesn't seem like, it seems that no one knows. I have looked it up everywhere, and unless something recent has been published since I did the research, I haven't found anything conclusive. And so I tried to do the observation, because I do have students who have it start happening. They start thinking in French throughout when they work with me. And what I know is that it starts with first maybe one word at a time, and then groups of words that just, they come to you directly without translation. Sometimes for people, it's something they see in their environment. So for example, let's see this, and then automatically think tasse instead of thinking cup. It's just an example. And then, for example, you'd have expressions that perhaps you've learned as a chunk in your notebook, which would come to your mind immediately, or perhaps it's something from your daily French bath that just stuck, and then you don't need to translate it. And then basically you string more and more words together until you have entire sentences. And you, little by little, you reach a point where you mostly don't translate, and you only translate things that are like really difficult or really infrequent. And then you might reach a point where you're speaking in a foreign language, just like I'm speaking right now in English, where I haven't thought anything in French ever since I started. At 40, it's now 41 minutes. I haven't thought anything in French since the beginning of this live stream, because I'm focused on talking to you and on getting the point across. And of course, I would never be able to have this kind of speed of talking if I would have to translate, obviously. So yeah, that's how it happens. That's all I can tell you. I haven't been able to find anything more conclusive on how to trigger it, but I look forward to doing more of this research and having more people use the meditation tracks and the affirmation tracks. And in the French Fluency Accelerator, there is also a track which is from my own hypnotherapist, which is really, really good. So if you're in the French Fluency Accelerator, you can use that one. I forgot the title, but it's by Jackie McGinn. And then you can also use the energy clearing workshop in the French Fluency Accelerator, which is designed to remove any kind of energy blocks or mental blocks that you have towards speaking French or engaging in French or with the French or with French speakers. So you can also use that and the tracks that go with it. Also, the manifesting workshop in the French Fluency Accelerator is useful for that. It's like, if you're in the accelerator already, you probably already know it's a workshop that's over 2 hours in total. Now it's sliced in smaller parts, so you can take them one by one. But it has a ton of tips and tricks of stuff that you can use to just bring more French in your life and start thinking or keep thinking or develop thinking in French. So those are the things that you can use. If you're not in the accelerator right now, you have the link in the description of this video, and you can still sign up for the same price as last year, because like I said at the beginning, I have just not been able to do any proper promotion. So I decided to, for now, not raise the price, and it will be raised later when I'm more in the headspace to promote the accelerator. Not something to do during Mercury retrograde. I just can't, my brain is already fried. All right, so we got several comments. Let me read that. Connie is saying the word "for example" I automatically translate to French. So for example, par exemple, right? That's a good example, actually. Not sure why that phrase sticks with me. You don't need to know. Like, most of the time, I don't know why something sticks with me. Sometimes I know where I learned a word or a phrase or the circumstances when I first used them or when I first heard them. But most of the time I don't, and some things stick and some things don't, and it's okay. Like, you don't need to know why. Like, otherwise you pull your hair out, because it's very standard. Linda is exactly, that is why I'm so slow. I am translating all the time. It's honestly frequent. It even happens. A thing that I found which blows my mind is that it happens to very advanced students, and some students that are very, very good at French, very broad vocabulary, very good at grammar, would still translate, and sometimes would do it extremely fast. And for some reason, it is easier for their brain to have an extremely fast neural pathways of translation than to avoid translating. For this kind of case, I don't really know the cure, because really the thing is that your brain will start thinking in French when it becomes easier to think in French than to translate. And often it's just because you don't have time, like it's too long in the brain. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess I can just think in French. But like I said, it happens gradually with small words and then small bits of sentences. Right. Jasmine is going, yes, you don't translate another language. It's its own thing with its own character and rhythm and sound, obviously. So learning it on a more subconscious level would be fantastic. Yeah, exactly. You get it. So that's the whole point. That's why I do all these things. That's why I speak so much about meditation. And today I made this video about altered states of consciousness and how you can actually access it even if you're not a blessed meditator. You do have those states. Like, what a concept. This is a thing that your brain does naturally. You don't have to make it do it. It's just that if you meditate, you have an easier access to those states. Yeah, and so one thing I wanted to say about thinking in another language is that well, if you only speak English and French and you don't have any interest in learning another language ever, that doesn't concern you. But if you speak either more than two or you want to learn more than two, this is a very important piece of information. So for me to start thinking in English, it took me, it was probably in my third or fourth year of studying English that it started happening. I actually probably, I'm not sure because I was very young, but it's possible that it happened around the time when I went to London. So I started English when I was 10, that was in primary school. And we had a little bit of English at that time. Now in France, the kids start learning English a lot sooner than that. But I started when I was 10, which is objectively rather late, but it was just how it was at the time. So then I went to middle school, and in my third year of middle school, so my fourth year of English, I started, I took a trip to London with my class. It was a field trip or class trip. Actually, tell me how you call that in English. And so we went one week in England, and we had partner students who came for 1 week in France. And I think it's around that time that I actually started being able to have small conversations in English and also a class trip, right? And also really think in English. But that was already a time when I was in a kind of class section where we had more English than normal. So this is not a standard thing to happen for French kids. I'm pretty sure there are people in my generations in France who have done okay-ish in English in school and have never learned to think in English. Like, it would be interesting to ask, for example, my sister if she thinks in English. She went to Glasgow for her professional practice, so probably she does, or she did at some point. But I think it's not a majority. It's only the people who really have learned English a lot that have become able to think in English. But so that was on my fourth year of learning English, which objectively, when I look at it right now with all the experience and looking at the students who are learning French, it was rather soon. Especially as the classes we have in France, or we had at the time, aren't great. Like now when people ask me how long it takes to learn French, I tell them that if you have a good method, if you have the kind of method that I teach, 1 year is a reasonable time frame. After 1 year, you can be able to hold conversations fairly easily. So, that would still have been 4 times longer for my case. And I was a kid, and I was very into languages, and I still am. So 4 years to think in my second language. But then that same year is the year that I started learning Spanish. And within less than a year, like really, really fast, I started thinking in Spanish. And it's really interesting when you think about it, because I did not have a lot of vocabulary in Spanish. It's very bizarre that I can actually think in Spanish with extremely little vocabulary. But the thing is, there is no relation between how many words you know and how able you are to think in a foreign language. Like none. Like I know it's counterintuitive, but for example, I always quote the statistics that the French native speakers that have the least vocabulary use only 500 different words. And that's just to make a clear point that how many words you have does not dictate how well you speak, or as it happens, how well you think in English or in the foreign language. And so the only reason why I became able to think in Spanish this fast, and I noticed it this fast, is because I was already thinking in English. So my brain was already trained with the neural pathways that you can think in more than one language. And as soon as you have more than one, it's very easy to have more than two, more than three, and potentially no limit to how many languages that you can think in. I'm not sure that it is the case for me right now, but at some point I was definitely able to think in six different languages So all the languages that I have learned basically. So it's French, English, Spanish, Portuguese, Esperanto, and German. Right. I haven't really practiced some of these languages recently, so right now probably I can do French, English, and German fairly easily. The other three I would need a little bit of practice, but you get the idea. It happens really, really fast as soon as you have more than one. So Yasmin is saying, vocabulary having nothing to do with thinking in that language is fascinating and hopeful. I'm glad it helps. It is. I promise you, it is absolutely true. I know it's counterintuitive, but it's, yeah. There's and for the record, there's even a language that exists with just 120 words. It's called Toki Pona. I can type it. Toki Pona. So it's a constructed language. It's a language that was created by a Canadian person, a woman called Sonia Kisa. And she created a language with the goal of making the language with the smallest possible number of words. And there are only about 120. She tried to keep it below 100, but they realized that 120 was, like, it was difficult to do less. So, and the people, like, there aren't that many speakers. I know only a couple because it's a polyglot work. Like, let's be honest, this is a language that you won't hear spoken unless you go to some polyglot conference. But I know a couple of them, and they can have conversations. And it's really interesting because they keep repeating the same words, but it works. You just have to combine more words to make concepts. So yeah, I'm glad that it helps. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. We have, this is definitely the longest live that we have done since the beginning. So I would take that as a sign that switching to YouTube is good, because yeah, it's by far the largest number of viewers that we have had since the beginning. So I guess we're going to stick to YouTube. Please tell me what you think. YouTube is telling me there are 7 people watching right now. So that's the best, definitely. Please let me know if you want to keep it this way. And probably I'm not gonna go beyond 1 hour because that's a lot. I mean, this is called the office hour, so it could be an hour max. But yeah, it's really cool to be hanging out with you, and that YouTube lets you know that it exists, or at least lets you find it. Linda is saying, let's keep it. The picture and sound are much better too. Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, I guess that's a sign that Facebook is really bad. It's even worse than I thought. Yasmin says, yes, I love talking about languages. You're welcome to come back next Monday. We're just going to keep doing that. And please tell me, like, if there are topics that you would like to hear more about, so I can prepare it for next week or for the upcoming live. Because every week I'm thinking, okay, what would be interesting for them? But it would just be better if you just, throw me a topic and tell me, yeah, please talk about that, or just, ask questions and tell me what you want to hear about. Okay, so I like it this way, says Connie. Picture and sound, speaks and sounds are perfect. Great, this is amazing. Learning without cramming words, grammar, and spelling or translating. Woo! Let me write that down. That's a lot of things. So when you say learning without cramming words, I guess that means vocabulary, right? You want to know how to not learn too much vocabulary, or not to cram. Is that what you mean? Learning without cramming words. Grammar. So also when you say grammar, perhaps it would help to have more specific grammar questions, because I could teach grammar for a year, without interruption and not be done, because it's grammar. Spelling or translating. Spelling is something I've been wanting to speak about a lot. I want to make a workshop for the accelerator about spelling, but for some reason the students aren't picking the topic. Like, the French accelerator works this way. We have a list of topics, and every time we prepare a workshop, so now it's 1 per quarter, the students vote for their favorite topic, and then I create it. So I don't choose the topics, and one of the topics that's in the list is Introduction to French Spelling, and they never picked it. So yeah, but I mean, I can try maybe to make a much quicker introduction someday. Spelling or translating. I'm not sure what you mean with translating. Like, do you want advice to, like, become a translator, or how to, like, what do you want to be doing with translating? Linda is going pronunciation. Yes, I'm so sorry that I have promised a course about pronunciation and that I haven't released it yet. I swear it is almost ready. I just need to finish putting it together. It will definitely be, well, okay. I don't want to promise, I never know, but Mercury retrograde is over soon. I will be in a better shape. I will be able to work more hours, so it'll definitely be ready soon. Yes, so like in school, I'm not sure where you're going at. Oh, the way you learn vocabulary in school by having just this really long list. Is that what you mean? I mean, to some degree, you can't really avoid learning vocabulary. You do have to learn it, but I do have some rules that will help you know which word, because it's not how much you know, it's which words you know. So that's important. Grammar is so tough. I never learned proper grammar in German. Me neither. But I've been living in German-speaking countries for 10 years and they haven't killed me yet. So but when I lived there, I just learned proper grammar because natives just know how to speak. They don't have to think about it. Yeah, well, it's like the daily French bath, except it's a daily German bath. When you hear people who speak correctly, you will just pick up on the way they speak. So there are lots of things in German grammar that I absolutely never learned, that when I try to do the exercise, because, you know, back in the days, I tried to learn the formal way with grammar exercises and everything. I never got it. I was like, what the hell is that? But now, if I am in a conversation, I actually do it, and I think I do it correctly because they don't correct me, and they love correcting people. So if they are not correcting me, I assume it means either they have become nice suddenly, maybe it's male privilege, who knows? But I think it's because I speak quite well. And in fact, I've been told many times that you speak German well when the Germans stop telling you that you speak well. Like if you speak and they go, "Oh, you speak so well," it means you don't speak that great yet. Like they can still hear you're a foreigner. You're okay. But when they say nothing, you're like, okay, that's the time when like they treat me like an equal. I'm done. I did it. So yeah, learning how to speak a language without translating. Yeah. That's the thing. Like I basically told you today everything I know. I'm sorry. I know it sounds like, whoa, what an expert, right? But no one really knows how it happens. I know two things that helps, like everything which is the subconscious practice that I spoke about today as well. So the affirmations, the meditation, and the daily French bath, all of that helps. Everything immersion helps. And the last thing that sometimes helps is to try overloading your brain, just to try and force it to get into translating. But for some people, it will also generate anxiety. So you have to, you just try and see what works. Like it's all a big experimentation at this point. I'm sorry that I don't have a more like straightforward way of dealing with that. Just it doesn't seem that anyone has found the answer to this question. All right, Calm. Hi, it's good to have you. An inspirational video for football coaches or any coach who needs to give instructions or to manage the group. So in a foreign language, is that what you're talking about? So a coach who needs to give instruction in a foreign language? Because if it's not in a foreign language, it's not particularly my specialty. Like I would be very peripheral to what I know. I'm sure there are like lots of people who can give better advice than me if it's not in a foreign language. But if it's in a foreign language, I most certainly can do it. So please just specify. Yes, okay. Well, let me write that down. So any coach needs to give instruction. Just write that. It's great. This live is great. I'm writing lots of new ideas. How to give instruction or manage a group in a foreign language. That is actually the kind of thing that I would definitely do in my one-on-one coaching program. Wait, I can't write and talk at the same time. Please bear with me. Group in. I'm just writing as in French. Yeah, it's definitely something that I would do in my one-on-one coaching program. So you also have the link in the description. It's called the French Transformation, frenchfluency.net/translation. You can find it in the description. And when you have very, very specific goal, that's what this program is for. It's really helping you hone in on exactly the vocabulary that you need to learn, exactly the kind of level of language that you need to speak. Because for some people, street French will be very interesting and perfect, and for other people it will damage their their personal life, not personal, professional life. So that sounds like something that this program would be good for. So maybe you can check it out if it's a good thing for you, and then if that looks good, you can book a one-on-one call with me, and then we can just talk about it one-on-one. But it is an interesting topic. I will think about how I can turn that and make it interesting for a lot of people, and also give cool instruction that will work for you. Do I write my notes in French or English? They are all in English. I don't know that you can see them because it's my terrible handwriting. But I actually write everything in English. Like even in my bullet journal, that like this is my agenda. It's just for me, but it's all in English. Like you have week, Monday, and the reason why I do it in English is because it's faster. It's not even a conscious choice. Like English has less letters, and it's also more precise. There are more words in English, and the words are shorter, and it's just faster to write. And that's the reason why I write it in English. Originally, I think I started doing that because of my ex-wife, because my ex-wife did not speak French when we met. She did learn French with me, but at the beginning, she did not speak French. And she didn't want to speak German to me because whatever, she's German, but we just spoke English all the time. Even though I could speak German, she just didn't feel like speaking German. And so I took the habit of thinking in French and speaking French all the time, and that's stuck with me because it's just easier. And I cannot be bothered to spell in French because it's just so long. So like your meditation video phrases. I'm not sure what you mean, Colm. Can you specify? Like you would like an inspirational video for coaches who need to give instruction, like a guided meditation to help you give instruction to a group, like inspiration or meditation to manage a group in a foreign language. Is that what you'd like to have? Or to run a meeting in a foreign language, or that I could actually do. That sounds like an interesting thing. I said, okay, yes, right. So I'll write it down. I'm gonna go because it's over an hour, and I said I would stick to an hour. But it was super cool having you here. This is definitely conclusive. It seems the quality of the video is better. There are more of you. There is more interactions. I love it. It was amazing hanging out with you for an hour, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday. I'll definitely pick out a topic from what you said today. And yeah, I'll make more. Thank you so much for all the inspiration. This is amazing. I just love to have input and things that I can chew on because it's just better to make the videos and talk about the topics that I know that you want to hear about. Please check out the French Fluency Accelerator if it's something you're interested in. If you want more of my input, the French Fluency Accelerator workshops are just a lot more structured than what I do here. They're always between an hour and 2 hours long, but I have slides, and I'm not just rambling like I do here. It's really targeted. Yeah, so the link is also in the description. Please check that out. And thank you so much, guys, for being here. Thank you for being in the chat. Everybody saying thank you. That's awesome. I look forward to seeing you next Monday. Oh, something important that I might not have said. Join me on Telegram. If you are not on Telegram, you are so missing out. I'll try to put in the link. The link is in the description too, but I just tried to put it here. Nope, that didn't work. Give me a second. Yeah, I post on my Telegram channel frequently, several times a week. Originally, I wanted to do it every day, but then I realized that I'm not good at all at doing something every day, so I cannot promise you that. But yes, so I share a lot of things for the Daily French Bath. I always share the links for these lives on Mondays. As soon as I have the link available, I will share it there. So it's a much easier way to be in touch than, well, Facebook. We've already identified that Facebook is a disaster. And even email, because sometimes, like, if you haven't opened my email for a couple of times, Gmail will just decide that you don't want it and trash it into your promotion tab. And this is really annoying because you can just not get the notification because of that, and there's not much that you can do. If you find the email in your promotion tab, you can always drag it into your inbox and tell Gmail to put it there, but almost no one knows that you can do that, or no one does it. And so Telegram is really the best thing if you want to keep hearing from me and keep getting input. And what I do mostly is I share French videos that are interesting, either for your daily French bath or just for learning things. And sometimes I also share thoughts or like what I'm reading, what I'm watching, and things like that. And of course, I share input about these lives and the new videos that I publish. I also put them there. And sometimes there are special offers. So whenever I release a course, there's almost always a like little special offer for the Telegram people too. So you can get the courses for a cheaper price if you're on Telegram. Right. So I think that's enough Rumble for today. But yeah, it's so enjoyable. I don't even want to leave, but it's kind of time for dinner. So I should go and cook. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. And I hope you got a ton of value from this and you got answers to some of your questions. And I look forward to being back next Monday and to answering some more and using the input that you've given me. Thank you, guys. I look forward to seeing you. Bye.